is 3 times as deadly for black women in the state of Texas. We know for sure this will consign far too many women and girls to unnecessary suffering and death because of his callousness and his cruelty. But we also know that we have the power to overcome this, and not just aspirationally because we say that we can, but because we have before against much longer odds. And I explain with this. 50 years ago, abortion was just as illegal in the state of Texas as it is today. But no one came and rode to the rescue of Texas women and girls from outside of this state. In fact, Texas women like Jane Roe of Roe versus Wade were 2 Texas attorneys, Linda Coffey, who still lives in Dallas, Sarah Weddington from Bright Blue, Abilene, Texas. Those 3 young Texas women prevailed upon an all-male United States Supreme Court to win the protection for the right to privacy. In other words, to make very personal, very often painful decisions without fear of government intrusion or intervention. So look, here's my logic. If Texas women won the way 50 years ago, Texas women are going to win it back in 2020. 21 weeks ago tomorrow, 19 kids and their 2 teachers were taken from us in a classroom in Uvalde, Texas. Absolutely defenseless against a guy who at the age of 18 could buy not 1 but 2 AR-15s and hundreds of rounds of ammunition for a weapon that was originally designed to be used and carried by U.S. soldiers in Vietnam. To take an enemy soldier down at 500 yards, penetrate a steel helmet, and knock him down dead. Those kids were not at 500 yards. They were at 5 feet max. Nothing on their head but maybe a baseball cap. Their parents, and I've met them, only able to identify the bodies by the shoes that they were wearing or the DNA swab that they had to take to identify the body at the end of that day, May 24th, 2022. But we got to know this. Those kids were also defenseless against Greg Abbott, who after 5 of the worst mass shootings in U.S. history, which have taken place in this state just over the last 5 years, the only thing he's done is make it easier for people who should not have firearms to carry them openly on our streets. He did away with the license to carry program and signed something into law known as permitless carry. And now the 38,000 people who over the last 6 years were rejected for a license to carry because by law enforcement they were deemed just too dangerous to themselves, too dangerous to a loved one, too dangerous to these kids in these classrooms, in our schools across Texas. Now all 38,000 of them, because Greg Abbott turned his back on law enforcement, are free to carry openly. And none of us are the wiser or the safer for that. So here's what we do. If we're going to follow the lead of these extraordinary parents in Uvalde who would be forgiven if they never wanted to show their face again in public, but they're not about that. They took a 5-hour bus ride to be in Edinburgh, Texas, the day of the only debate that Greg Abbott would allow, knowing full well they would not be allowed into a 1,000-person theater that he didn't allow a single soul into, to make sure that none of us lose sight what happened to their kids and what all of us together can do to make sure that it never happens to another child in Texas. Raising the age of purchase to 21 for an AR-15. A red flag law for those who already have guns in their home and are threatening to use them against others in our lives. A universal background check. On this much, there is common ground and agreement in Texas, and we working together are going to